Metal screamed as the vehicle rolled. The world flipped into sparks, shattered glass, and grinding steel. I slammed against my harness, ears ringing, dust and smoke choking the air. When we stopped moving, the engine was still whining, and somewhere fuel dripped onto hot metal with a sharp, ticking hiss. Haze. I tore at the jammed door until it gave, boots sliding on gravel as I dropped beside him. Blood soaked through his uniform, warm and fast. His eyes were half open but unfocused. The medic hit the ground next to me, hands already pressing hard, voice tight and urgent. "I'm losing him. Move now." We dragged him clear of the wreck as the escort truck roared closer. No time for fear. No time to think. We lifted him into the medical vehicle while the engine howled, tires clawing at dirt. The convoy launched into the dark, bouncing hard, speed building, every second stolen from death. Then my radio cracked. Everything went still. A calm voice from command spoke my name, and in that moment, everything changed. Subscribe to my channel, Lady Veteran Stories, for more real mythic stories, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The wreck had barely stopped burning behind us when we pushed the convoy into the dark. Bennett slammed the vehicle into gear and we shot forward across loose gravel, tires fighting for grip. The suspension slammed hard enough to rattle my teeth. Behind us, the medical truck bounced violently, its frame groaning under speed and weight. Over the radio, the medic was already shouting, his voice sharp with urgency. "He is bleeding through the bandage. I need smoother driving, or he is not going to make it." I grabbed the dash as Bennett threw us around a sharp bend, the rear tires sliding before catching again. "Negative." I snapped into the comms. "We slow down, he dies. Hold pressure and keep him breathing." The night swallowed us whole. Headlights carved narrow tunnels through dust and darkness while the convoy tore across the training roads faster than they were ever meant to be driven. Every bump launched us off our seats. Every turn felt like it might roll us again. Gravel hammered the undercarriage. The engine roared, pushed beyond comfort, beyond safety. Then the first real problem hit. A loud crack exploded beneath us. The steering jerked violently as the front tire shredded, rubber whipping loose. Bennett fought the wheel, muscles straining, boots slamming the brake just enough to keep us from spinning out completely. The vehicle fishtailed across the road, dust exploding around us before we slammed back under control. "Keep moving," I ordered. "We are riding on half a tire." Bennett shouted back. "Keep moving." Behind us, the medical truck swerved hard to avoid us, two wheels lifting briefly before crashing back down. Over comms, the medic's voice rose again, louder now, breaking through discipline. "He is seizing. I need light. I need space. I need... Damn it, his pulse is dropping." My chest tightened, but there was no room for hesitation. I radioed ahead, voice sharp and clear. "Emergency convoy approaching Gate 7. Critical medical transport. Request immediate clearance." Static answered. Nothing else. We pushed harder. The damaged tire thumped violently with every rotation, shaking the entire vehicle, but we did not slow. We could not. The road ahead dipped sharply through a washout, half the surface torn away by recent storms. Bennett saw it too late. "Hold on." We hit the broken stretch fast. The vehicle slammed down hard enough to throw us forward against our harnesses. Behind us, the medical truck crashed through the dip, metal screaming, equipment clattering violently inside. The medic yelled again, voice raw now, "I am losing his pulse. Driver, stop hitting these damn bumps, or he bleeds out right here." "We stop. He dies," I shouted back. "Keep him alive." The convoy roared onward, engine straining, dust boiling behind us like smoke from a fire. My radio crackled, again with conflicting signals. One operator reported the gate was open. Another said it had shifted to restricted control earlier that day. No confirmation, no clarity, just uncertainty closing in. Bennett glanced at me, jaw tight, hands locked on the shaking wheel. "What if they do not open it, Sergeant?" For a moment I had no answer, because the truth was simple. If that gate stayed closed, Hayes would not survive the night. I keyed the radio again, forcing calm into my voice despite the chaos around us. "Gate 7, this is Sergeant Carter. Emergency transport. Request priority access." Silence followed. Long, heavy. Then finally a reply, uncertain and incomplete. "Convoy, hold position upon arrival. Hold position. Not proceed, not cleared. Just wait." Behind me, the medic's voice dropped to a strained whisper. "He is fading fast." The road stretched ahead into darkness, and for the first time that night, doubt cut deeper than fear. The gate came into view through a storm of dust and headlights, and my stomach tightened the moment I saw it. Floodlights blazed too bright. The steel barrier was fully down. Armed guards were already in position, rifles raised, silhouettes hard, and unmoving against the white glare. They had been warned. They were ready. "Do not slow," I told Bennett. We closed the distance fast, gravel exploding beneath the tires, engine screaming. Behind us, the medic's voice burst through the comms again, raw and desperate. He just flatlined. "I need space. I need light. Move, move." The words hit like a punch, but the gate was still coming closer, still closed. "Stop the vehicle," a guard shouted, stepping forward, rifle rising to eye level. Another guard chambered around, the sharp click cutting through the night like a threat made real. Bennett slammed the brakes just short of the barrier. The vehicle skidded sideways, stopping hard enough to throw us forward against our belts. I was already out of the door before the dust settled, boot hitting gravel, heart hammering but voice steady. "Emergency transport. Open the gate now. No clearance." The lead guard shouted back. "Orders saying no entry. Back your vehicle down." Behind me, chaos erupted from the medical truck. Metal clattered. The medic yelled over the noise, voice breaking. "He is code blue. I am losing him. I need that gate open now." I stepped closer, dust swirling between us, my hand hovering near my sidearm without fully drawing it. The guards tightened, rifles locked on me, tension rising like a wire about to snap. "Stand down," I said, voice low but sharp. "We do not have time for this. No clearance," the guard repeated, louder now, but there was hesitation in his eyes. Behind me, the medical monitor let out a long, flat tone. The sound froze everything. I turned toward my vehicle. "Bennett, ready." The engine roared back to life, louder, angrier. Gravel sprayed as he pushed forward slightly. The vehicle lurching inches closer to the barrier. The guard shifted, rifles tightening, one step from firing, one breath from disaster. "Back it down." The guard shouted. The medic screamed again behind me. And then, my radio cracked alive. A calm voice cut through the chaos, steady and commanding. "Gate 7, hold. Do not engage." The voice on the radio did not shout, yet it carried more force than everything happening around us. "Gate 7, hold. Do not engage." For a split second, the world froze in place. The guards stopped moving. Rifles stayed raised, but their trigger fingers eased, uncertainty replacing confrontation. Dust drifted slowly between us, glowing in the floodlights like suspended ash. Then the voice returned, calm, controlled, unmistakable. "Sergeant Emily Carter, confirm your position." My throat felt tight, but I answered, "Confirmed." Behind me, chaos did not stop. The medic was shouting, louder now, panic breaking through discipline. Equipment slammed against metal as the truck rocked. "No pulse. I need light. I need space. He is not breathing." The flat tone of the monitor screamed through the night, long and merciless. For one terrible moment, I thought we were too late. The guards heard it too. I saw their expressions shift, tension cracking into something human. One of them glanced toward the medical truck, jaw tightening, doubt creeping into his posture. But still, the gate did not move. Seconds stretched painfully. The engine behind me growled, still ready to surge forward. Bennett waited for my signal. The guards waited for theirs. Everything balanced on a knife edge between action and disaster. Then the radio came alive again. The same voice. Stronger. Final. Gate 7 open immediately. That is a direct order. There was no hesitation this time. One guard stepped back fast. Another rushed to the control panel, hands moving quickly. The heavy mechanism groaned as power surged through it. For a heartbeat, nothing happened, and my chest tightened again, fear clawing upward. Then the barrier shuddered. Metal screamed as it began to rise. Dust swirled beneath it. Floodlights shifted. The guards cleared the path without another word, rifles lowering as the opening widened inch by inch. Behind me, engines roared louder, the convoy ready to move, hope cutting through fear like sudden light. "Move?" I shouted. The medical truck surged forward, racing under the rising gate. Tire spraying gravel, lights flashing wildly across steel and dust. I ran beside it for a few steps before turning back toward my vehicle, heart still pounding, breath sharp. The path ahead was open, but the fight was not over. Not yet. We blasted through the gate and did not slow down. "Bennett, push it," I shouted, slamming the door as the engine roared beneath us. The convoy surged forward into the restricted sector, tires clawing at loose gravel, suspension screaming as we drove faster than the road allowed. The gate disappeared behind us, swallowed by dust and darkness, but the danger had not passed. Behind me, the medic's voice tore through the comms, strained and urgent. "I still have no pulse. Starting compression. Move, move, move." The words hit harder than any impact. I glanced into the mirror and saw chaos inside the medical truck. Silhouettes moving violently as the vehicle bounced. Every bump threw them sideways. Equipment rattled. The flashing light inside flickered across Hayes' motionless body. "Hold him steady," I called. "I am trying." The medic shouted back. "If this ride gets any rougher, I'll lose him completely." But slowing was not an option. The road narrowed ahead, cutting through uneven ground, scarred by washouts and loose rock. Bennett wrestled the wheel as the vehicle fishtailed, the rear sliding wide before snapping back into line. Gravel hammered the undercarriage. The engine howled, pushed to its limits. Then another danger came fast. Headlights burst suddenly over a rise ahead, a civilian pickup, moving straight toward us on the narrow road, too fast, too close. No time to stop. "Left," I shouted. Bennett yanked the wheel hard. The vehicle skidded sideways, tires screaming, barely missing the oncoming truck by inches. The horn blared behind us as the civilian swerved wildly into the dirt, disappearing into darkness. The convoy behind us followed through the same narrow space, each vehicle fighting for control. "Stay with me, Hayes," the medic whispered over the comms, voice raw now, breath shaking between words. "Stay with me." The hospital lights finally appeared, faint on the horizon, distant but real. I grabbed the radio, voice sharp. "Emergency convoy approaching medical center. Critical patient. Prepare immediate surgical intake." Static cracked, then confirmation. We drove harder. The final stretch blurred into noise and motion until at last the hospital gates opened ahead, bright and waiting. The medical truck did not stop fully before the doors flew open and Stat rushed forward, pulling Hayes out, hands moving fast under harsh, white light. Then everything went quiet. No engines, no shouting. Just the sound of breath returning slowly to my lungs as we waited in the cold night air. Minutes passed. Then the word came. He was alive. We did not celebrate. We did not speak much at all. The convoy sat silent under the hospital floodlights, engines cooling, metal ticking softly as heat faded from the long drive. Dust still hung in the air around us, drifting slowly as if the night itself had not yet caught up with what had happened. I stood beside the vehicle, hands resting on the hood, breathing steady but heavy, replaying every second from the crash to the gate to the final stretch of road. Inside, the surgical team fought for Hayes. Time passed differently then. Not fast, not slow, just suspended. No one moved far. Bennett leaned against the side of the truck, staring at the ground, jaw tight. The medic sat on the step of the medical vehicle, gloves still stained, shoulders lowered now that the fight had shifted from his hands to someone else's. Finally, the doors opened. A surgeon stepped out under the light, mask lowered, eyes tired but steady. "He made it," he said. Just 2 words, but they carried everything. The bleeding had been stopped. The damage to his spine was serious, but stable. He would live. Recovery would be long, painful, uncertain, but his life had not ended on that road, not behind that gate, not in the silence we had feared. Only later did we learn whose voice had broken through the radio that night. Colonel Rebecca Lawson, newly assigned to the sector, monitoring emergency communications when she heard the hesitation at the gate, heard the uncertainty in the checkpoint response, heard the silence where action should have been, and she chose not to wait. She chose clarity. She chose responsibility. Because of that decision, the gate opened. Because of that moment, Hayes survived. But survival does not erase what came before it. I still remembered the crash, the smell of fuel, the sound of the monitor going flat, the click of rifles being chambered at the gate, the instant when I believed we had lost him. Those moments do not disappear just because the ending turns out differently. They stay quiet and permanent, shaping how you carry yourself long after the dust settles. That night did not feel like victory. It felt like relief. Relief that we had reached in time. Relief that hesitation had not taken a life. Relief that a voice, calm and certain, had cut through confusion when it mattered most. But even in that relief, one truth stayed with me. We had come closer than anyone outside that night would ever understand. Closer than comfort, closer than safe. And some part of me knew I would carry that distance forever. Morning came slowly, pale light spreading across the motor pool as if nothing had happened. The convoy vehicles stood where we had left them, dust-coated, scarred from the night, engines quiet at last. But inside me the motion had not stopped. The sound of the crash, the screaming tires, the flat line tone, the rising gate, it all replayed in fragments I could not silence. Hayes remained in surgery through the early hours, and when we were finally released from the hospital grounds, none of us spoke much on the drive back. Exhaustion had replaced adrenaline. The road felt longer in the daylight, slower, quieter, but heavier too. Every one of us knew how close we had come to losing him. Days passed before we heard more. Hayes had survived the surgery, but recovery would be long. The spinal damage left him weak, unable to walk without support. He would need months of rehabilitation, patience, and strength beyond what most people ever see. Still, he was alive, and that alone carried weight none of us could ignore. Weeks later, he returned to the base for the first time. I saw him crossing the motor pool yard under the afternoon sun, moving slowly, a brace supporting his back, steps careful but determined. The noise of engines and tools faded around me as I watched him approach. When he reached us, he did not speak immediately. He simply stood there, breathing steady, eyes clear, alive. Then he smiled. It was not loud, not dramatic, just real. The kind of smile that carries gratitude deeper than words ever could. No speeches followed. No grand moment. Just a quiet understanding shared between soldiers who knew how close the line had been between presence and absence. After the incident, the system did what systems do. Reports were filed. The gate protocol was reviewed. Emergency clearance procedures were rewritten to prevent hesitation in future crises. Communication lines between command and checkpoints were tightened. On paper, everything was corrected, organized, improved, but what stayed with me was not paperwork. It was memory. The guard standing in the floodlights, bound by orders, my team watching me in silence, trusting a decision that could not be guaranteed. The moment I almost ordered the breach. The instant the radio spoke my name and shifted everything. That night changed something in me, not loudly, not suddenly, but permanently. Months passed, and life slowly returned to its steady rhythm, but the memory of that night never truly faded. Hayes continued his recovery with quiet determination. Rehabilitation was slow and painful, every movement earned through effort most people would never see. When he finally returned to visit the motor pool again, he walked with more strength than before, still careful, still measured, but standing on his own. The brace remained, but so did his resolve. He did not talk much about that night, and none of us pressed him to. Some experiences do not need to be spoken to be understood. The base moved forward as it always does. Vehicles rolled out. Radios carried routine traffic. New missions replaced old ones. On the surface, the night at the gate became just another entry in a long chain of military records. But for those of us who stood there, it remained something more, a moment that quietly reshaped how we carried responsibility. The investigation into the incident brought changes. Gate 7 received updated emergency override procedures. Communication failures that caused the delay were corrected. Command issued new protocols ensuring that medical transport would never again face hesitation at a checkpoint. On paper, the problem was solved. But what stayed with me was not the correction. It was the memory of standing in that floodlight, uncertainty pressing in from every side, knowing a life depended on a decision with no perfect answer. I remembered the sound of the flat line cutting through the noise, the tension in the guard's posture, the trust in my team's silence, and the moment the radio spoke my name. That night did not make headlines, no ceremony marked it, no recognition followed. Yet it changed how I understood duty, because sometimes the greatest weight is not carried in battle, but in the quiet moments when hesitation and action stand face to face, and someone must choose to move forward. Years have passed, but some sounds never leave you. I still remember the moment before the gate opened. Not the engines, not the shouting, the silence, that heavy, breathless pause when everything balanced between loss and survival, and one decision carried the weight of a life. We came closer than anyone ever knew, closer than safe, closer than comfort. People often imagine military memories as noise and chaos, but the moments that stay with you are often quiet. A voice cutting through static, a choice made without certainty, a line you stand on, knowing there is no perfect answer waiting on the other side. Hayes lived. He fought his way back step by step, carrying scars that would never fully disappear. My team returned to duty, the road ahead stretching forward as it always does. The base kept moving, just another night folded into history. But a part of me never left that gate, standing in dust and floodlight, learning what responsibility truly feels like when hesitation and duty collide. Not victory, not defeat, just duty, and the quiet weight of knowing someone trusted you to carry it. Subscribe to my channel, Lady Veteran Stories, for more real military stories, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from.